how to charge an AC unit. So this apartment has a wall unit, that's what this box is, and the air is coming out like 70 degrees, 71 degrees, when it should be coming out like closer to 60 degrees, or it's like 60 to 62 degrees. I mean, it's a second floor apartment, so it should be coming out colder. This system has NU22 or R422 or R422B in it, so that's what we're going to charge it with. And we keep track of the weight this way. We just write it down on it. We put a psychrometer out here at the condenser to measure the dry bulb temperature outside. We're going to need that number to calculate the superheat. So we're going to fix the AC based on the superheat. So right now it's about 77 degrees. We're also going to put a field piece probe. We're also going to put a field piece probe at the air return inside the apartment to measure the wet bulb temperature. So first we're going to take off the cover. This had these have like screws in here and here and on the side, which I already took out. But if you have like a wall unit like this, then just look for those screws first to take those out. We're gonna use digital gauges. You're gonna wanna put this blue hose through this hole here. If the holes are filled with these caps, then these just like come out. These just punch out like so. I already punched this one out. So, but just feed it through. And it's going to go on the low side Schrader valve here. The low side is the bigger pipe. You're going to see two Schrader valves. This is the high side. This is hot. Don't touch this. And this is the low side. It's supposed to be cold and it's supposed to be sweating. If not, that's a problem. Now we're going to take this temperature clamp and we're going to put it on the low side pipe. And it's going to measure the temperature of this pipe for us. Like if you don't have one of these, then like you can take a thermometer and just shove it in between the insulation and the pipe. I'll usually do that if I don't have this. Or you could take a temperature gun and point it at the pipe itself and just get the temperature reading that way. Put the cover back on. Alright, so we're going to turn our digital gauges on. We've only got the low side hooked up and the temperature clamp to the low side because we're calculating superheat, and for calculating superheat, those are the you don't really need the hot side or the high side, and we're doing all this while the system is on, and it's a non-TXV, which is thermal expansion valve, which I'm not going to go into that in this video, but like so this system is a non-TXV, so that means that we calculate superheat here. In order to calculate superheat, the system has to be on. So the temperature reading is here of the pipe and the pressure reading is here. So yeah, those are the numbers we're going to need. We're also going to need that indoor wet bulb temperature and the outdoor dry bulb temperature at the condenser. To calculate superheat, we're going to use the check charge app and see what the superheat is supposed to be and see what the superheat is currently at. Now we're going to open the check charge app. We're going to go to R422B, so that's the freon we're using, superheat, non-TXV. And the first number, the vapor pressure, is 23 psi. So that's what we're going to set it to. That's what the gauges are reading. And the vapor line temperature, that's what the temperature clamp is reading, so that's 51 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like the max this goes. And then we're gonna set the indoor wet bulb temperature, and to do that, we gotta go to the JobLink app that's linked to the field piece psychrometer, and that's about 62 degrees Fahrenheit, so we'll set that. And then last is the condenser dry bulb temperature, which is coming from the thermometer or psychrometer on the condenser that we put outside, so that's about 75 degrees. Now we're going to calculate that. So the current superheat is 45 degrees and the recommended superheat is 15 degrees. The digital way, or sorry, the mathematical way to calculate superheat is L minus G is equals superheat, which is the line temperature minus the gauge temperature equals the superheat. So basically that takes this number that's being read by the probe that we calculated, like the temperature clamp that we calculated, to the line. That's the line temperature minus the gauge temperature, which is this number. And so it's subtracting the line temperature minus the gauge temperature. So if you don't have digital gauges and you have analog gauges, for lack of a better term, then that's another way that you can calculate superheat. So we're gonna connect the yellow line to our can of 422B. Make sure our knobs are closed. Open the line, open the valve on the can. Flip it upside down. Then we're going to purge the system. We're just going to open the yellow line a little bit and purge the air out of the system, because you don't want air in this AC system. There we go. Alright, now we're going to open the low side knob. So the Freon's going to go from the tank, from the can, to the like through the yellow line and then through the blue line into the system. We're just going to do that in short bursts. You don't want to overload the compressor with too much Freon, because if you do, then the compressor will break because it has too much Freon to compress, and then you have to replace the compressor, and that's a much heftier job. Also, if you're an HVAC tech or you work in HVAC and you connect the high side line, also to the high side Traeger valve and the temperature clamp to the high side, even when you're calculating superheat, then let me know why in the comments. So we're just going to do this until the superheat equals what it was projected to be on the check charge app. And so don't rush this process. It takes a while. This is the part of charging AC that takes a while. So you just got to keep doing this until the superheat equals what it's projected to be. If you don't have digital gauges and you have the analog gauges and you're calculating superheat, then just each time you gotta just do that subtraction, like the line temperature minus the gauge temperature, and see what that number is compared to what it's projected to be. Okay, so I've been charging for about an hour, and got superheat down to about 13. So let's check the air temperature. No, it's more like. Alright, so with the air temperature down, it's going to start getting colder inside. I didn't show this, but I think the thermostat was set to like 70 and it was reading like 74 in there. So the air temperature in the apartment will go down eventually with the cold air coming out. So we're going to start to put stuff away. Got my psychrometer probe here. Got to put that away. Gonna disconnect the temperature clamp. Let's get our psychrometer out here on the condenser. Now, the knobs are closed tight. I'm gonna disconnect the hose from the tank. So we're gonna close the valve on the top. And then we're going to let the rest of the Freon that's in this line and in the blue line into the system. So with this closed, Like nothing more will go into the system when we open this knob. You can kind of see the freon there, like nothing new is going in there. Now I can disconnect the line from the tank. Put the cap on. Disconnect the low side. Put the cap back on the low side. Now get the cover back on the wall unit. Just gonna put these screws in. Now we're gonna weigh this to see how much freon we put in the system. So we got our scale here. Turn it on. Take our freon can. So it's zeroed out. Alright, so about 15 pounds, 1.75 ounces. This is just how we keep track. Oh, we charged it with a little more than 12 pounds. 12 pounds and about 6 ounces. So that's how to charge an AC based on superheat. All good. Like and subscribe.